Warning, do not try this at home. If you're a minor, kids have actually died from this. This is the Carolina Reaper Hot Chip Challenge. I got last place in a fantasy basketball video, but instead of just complaining about it like a little bitch, I actually looked at the entire NBA and I said, how can we fix this? Child-proof packaging, that's good. Fuck, getting pretty close now. Okay, there we go. So I looked at it and I said, how can we fix this? Because it's not about me, it's about all the fans. So I'm going to eat this and try to deliver the entire video while going through the challenge. If I can't, that means I died. It'll cut to me in a video I recorded earlier. Okay, I love you, Arslan. That's my editor. Also, my wife is here. Hi. Jesus Christ, start the clock. The problem with the NBA is that it rewards teams playing poorly. We have a record number of teams trying to capture the flag. Competent general managers that should have been trying to make a contender instead are focusing on losing as many games as possible. And fans are checking out. The real March Madness isn't in college basketball. It's on the NBA court when you have G League and foreign players being played and max contract players sitting. The Toronto Raptors are doing it sad, playing 3/4 of their best players, only to sit Scotty Barnes in the fourth. Okay, as you can see, I'm shaven and it's been a little bit of time. There was absolutely no way I was gonna be able to give this speech, talk about how to fix the NBA while doing the Hot Chip Challenge, but will keep me suffering in the corner so you guys can see me go through that, and we'll check in from time to time as I explain my solution. I put a lot of thought into this, and I've taken the time to do a little bit of research, and I really used my whole being a lawyer / law degree to really think through this and the way the CBA is created. And I think I have a proposal that'll make the NBA a lot more interesting in following seasons. Here's how we fix it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to eliminate all of the incentive to tank. So the first thing is that if you finish bottom 3 in your conference, bottom 3 in the Western or bottom 3 in the Eastern Conference, you do not have access to the top 3 picks. So if you finish last in the entire NBA, you get the 4th pick in the draft. If you finish second to last, you get the 5th pick. While there are some good years where there's a lot of valuable players, usually by the time you get to the 4th pick, no one is willing to sacrifice an entire season for that 4th pick. However, you might have years where the 3rd pick looks like Kevin Durant or LeBron James. So what we want to do is we want to take away all the incentive of the general managers, because it is the general managers. The players do not want to tank. The players want to play hard. The coaches want to coach. It's the general managers that are following the Sam Hinkie process, school of thought, that are tanking seasons, resting healthy players, trading away veterans, doing everything they can to be bad. Under my proposal, the worst teams do not have access to the best talent, and the general managers are going to do the calculus and go, you know what? It's not worth it to tank. This means that all teams will be fighting all season to not be in the bottom 3 in their conference. The second biggest change that I'm going to propose is it's going to be expanding the play-in. Instead of the play-in being the 7, 8, 9, and 10th seeds, now we're going to expand the play-in and it's the 7 through 12th seeds. It's going to behave a little differently though. If you get the 7th or the 8th seed in the regular season, you get a first round bye. Then the 9th seed plays the 12th seed in a single elimination game, and the 10th seed plays the 11th seed in a single elimination game. What this means is we're going to get a 3-round play-in, and the stakes are going to be astronomically high. It's going to make March Madness look boring, okay? The play-in has already been a success. It has been exciting. We have seen some incredible matchups inside of it. But now what we're going to do is we're going to get the players, we're going to get the coaches, we're going to get the general managers all excited. We're going to get the fan base excited about the play-in. Because if you win the play-in, you get access to the number 1 lottery odds. That's right. The teams that get first and second in the play-ins and had the best record, right? Going back to making them want to win every game.
The team that wins the play-in, every player on the team gets $1 million or 500,000 or whatever. Look, they're going to have to figure out some of these details with the advertisers. Adam Silver, go ahead and throw me a job. But they get the highest lottery odds plus a cash incentive for the players, plus they get to play in the playoffs. And you're saying, okay, Josh, wait a minute. I found a problem in your system. If a team could have been a 5 seed or a 4 seed, why wouldn't they just tank down to make sure they get that 7th seed, win the play-in tournament? Then they get cash, they get draft picks, they get LeBron. You've created a monster. I've already thought about that. And here's my proposal to fix that. If you make it to the final game of the play-in and you win, you get those best lottery odds plus the cash. But if you make it to the final round of the play-in and you lose that sudden death game, we're really bringing the term death back, you go all the way to the bottom of the first round. No cash prize, you do not pass go, you do not collect $100. So does a general manager really want to risk his team not making the playoffs because they lose one sudden elimination game and they get the 29th pick in the first round? We're talking about stakes for winning, and we're talking about consequences for losing. The whole thesis statement of the changes that I'm proposing are that winning is encouraged at all times. Everyone is going to try to win. They're going to cheat. They're going to steal. They're going to do more steroids. These guys are going to come in wanting to win because they're incentivized not just by money, but by the way the sport is constructed. I don't think a general manager would have the balls to risk their job, risk their team's future on 3 consecutive single elimination games. So I don't think a 4 seed is going to risk losing home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs to drop down to the 7 seed. And then they lose one of those 3 games and they get nothing. And then the worst thing that could happen to them is they get to this championship game, lose that, now you're picking 29. I think you should already be in the comment section. I'm proposing some radical changes, but I think that these are radical enough that they could literally change the NBA. Let's talk about the rest of it real quickly. So the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th picks would be the actual lottery picks with percentages. You know, they'd be something similar to that. Maybe we want to get a math major in here and tell me why the team that gets eliminated in the first round should get 8% and then second round should get 12%. I'm open to it. It took me a lot of time and a lot of math just to get this far, but let's keep going because I have more changes. Right now, we have seen a pandemic of players sitting and players resting. This brings me to my 3rd change, and you have to choose one. Either you have to shorten the NBA season or you have to reward the players that play every game available. So the way that I'm looking at that is if you want a max contract in the future NBA, you have to play 65 plus games. So the 3rd change to save the NBA is if you have a max contract and you do not play 65 games and you are not ending the season with a catastrophic injury. So what do I mean by the catastrophic injury? If you have a surgery and a NBA league doctor signs off on it, you get to keep your contract. But if you have an ankle injury here and 5 rest games there and you get a concussion and then suddenly you played 64 games, instead of getting paid $50 million, you're going to get paid $40 million. 20% of every max contract can be lost if they do not meet the games played criteria. Again, for serious medical injuries, an NBA league doctor can give you an exemption. Now, to make sure that teams don't try to intentionally sit players that are healthy, because we want to penalize people that don't respect the game of basketball. If you sit your player, which you would never want to do under my system, because you don't want to make bottom 3 in each conference. In fact, not only do you not want to make bottom 3, you want to get as high in the seeding as you can, because there's a real risk that if you end up being the 11th seed, you get bounced in one of the first 2 rounds of the play-in, you got a shit draft pick. So if you're a team that rests a healthy player and he falls below the 65 games cap, he will lose 20% of his max contract, but it will still count towards you for luxury tax. those are my core ideas for how to fix the NBA, but reading on Reddit, talking to ChatGPT, I came up with some other ideas that I think have merit, but I'm not going to put in the top 3. Listen, guys, I'm not going to say I have all the answers. I'm just going to say I love the game of basketball. And if you're a Utah Jazz fan, if you're a Philadelphia 76er fan, if you're a Charlotte Hornet fan, it was impossible for you to have joy in the game of basketball this season. We can't continue to have an NBA where a third of the teams are trying to be bad. And on any given night, as you click around, you don't see competitive basketball. With a third of the teams not trying, depending on who's playing who, more than half of the games on any given night are not competitive. There's a reason why March Madness is so fun. Watching teams play to win with everything on the line under the brightest stage, it's wonderful. There's a reason why the midseason tournament was interesting. There's a reason why the play-in is interesting. We have to look at what's been working in the NBA, but we also have to be honest about what hasn't. Rewarding losing is one of the saddest things that the NBA has implemented, and it gave us the process. It gave us healthy stars sitting when a single dad saved up enough money to take his son to one game, and his son does not get to see any of the players he recognizes because it's G League players, even though that dad still paid full price. Guys, we've got to make a change. Like this video, share it, comment, subscribe in the channel. I also want to start a conversation. Tell me in the comment section, how would you fix the NBA? What do you think about my ideas? Where do we go from here? It's NBA Trash Talk.